Any public comments? All righty, we're going to get right into our reports, our committee updates. If we could start with Christian and the Policy Committee.
So the Policy Committee, we have a tentative date in the first week of December for our first meeting and the agenda in flux. I sent out an email today, so if the remaining people can just make sure about their availability, we can give it a specific date. So I'm thinking we're looking for December 2nd or 3rd, December 3rd or 4th, based on what I've gotten the feedback so far. And that is it for the Policy Committee. I have a few other things, so while I have the mic, maybe. Yesterday was the November meeting for OXPA. The presentation was on the New York State's initiative to create a portrait of a graduate. And the basic story is that there are many decisions to be made, and decisions have not been made yet, so more to come. And just talked about the anxiety by a lot of administrators about what this will look like. And there was some discussion about both what will be the logistical burden that this will create, as well as how this will impact different districts. Just as a side note, and this is just my personal opinion, what the Portrait of Graduate is giving different ways to evaluate students' competency for graduation, in addition to replacing, at least, or giving a substitute or an alternative to the Regents examinations. But this will not happen until, I think, 2030, so no student currently in high school would be under this rubric. But in Cornwall, where our graduation rate under the current system is in the mid-90s%, this probably will not be a wholesale change for our district, but allow us to give us more flexibility on the margins. So perhaps 10 to 12 students who would not have passed under the Regents might have a chance to demonstrate proficiency in an alternative way. It might have a bigger impact for other districts, which is why I think I was also asked to remind people that the Regents are not disappearing. They're just being decentered within the overall graduation framework. So that was OXPA, and I will add, this is sort of the audit committee, but this weekend I was up in Saratoga Springs for the New York State Retirement System delegate convention, and learning a lot of things about the teacher pension system. And I will say that even though it's not official, that they're anticipating that the contribution rate will probably be lower this coming year than it was last year, so perhaps that is a little more flexibility. But I think in January they'll have their preliminary numbers, or preliminary projection of what the contribution rate will be. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. Facilities, Jim?
Thank you, Christine. So a couple things to report. One, we had interviews for a new construction manager. We had two folks answer that RFP. Thankfully, we had two very qualified candidates. So we had the board members that are on the facilities committee, as well as Megan, John, and Walter Moran, all sat down and interviewed those folks. We made a decision between the two well-qualified candidates to go with Triton Construction. So that was a couple weeks ago on Wednesday. The ensuing Monday, October 27th, we had a facilities committee meeting. In conjunction with that, we had a special Board of Ed meeting, as you all know, at the table, and we were able to approve Triton as a new construction manager, so they have begun their work. And I think John and Walter have a kickoff meeting set up with them today, tomorrow, sometime this week. So they're going to hit the ground running to continue working towards presenting a list of projects to bond out to our voters in the spring. So in that October 27th meeting, we had the list of items that were on the what's the report the architects just did? Building condition survey, thank you. Blocked that out of my mind for a second. So we joined that list with the previous list that we had put together as a facilities committee. So now we have one master list, which John and Walter are going to go over with the construction managers. Looking to have a meeting potentially in a couple weeks. That might be a little short of a time frame, probably early to mid-December. Really going to depend on how quickly the new construction manager can get up to speed. So next meeting will be coming soon. Really excited about bringing them on board and continuing our work there. And I think the only other thing I'll add, We did put it in the minutes for the meeting, which we posted on the website, that Megan actually brought up a point. She said, hey, we're bringing up a lot of this boiler's no good, we need a new fire alarm in this building. All important things. She said we need not lose sight of what's our space constraint. And we've talked about this before as a committee, but, you know, from especially as an elementary perspective of can we add on to existing buildings? Is there an argument to be made to have a fourth elementary school in this district? Where would that be sited? So just a brief discussion on that, but an important addition to make sure that we don't lose sight of that, in addition to all the necessary maintenance and upkeep type items that we need.
Jim, anything on legislative liaison? I don't think, okay, thank you. Moving right along, visitation, Carl.
Hi, just wanted to let you know that so far this has been very enjoyable this year. And so we have 2 reports tonight real quick. Richie wants to just step in and let you know what's going on this week. And then Christine, if it's okay with you, I'd like to hear your report on Willow.
Whatever you want. So this week we are going to be visiting the Cornwall Middle School. We've been invited to visit the world language teachers pushing into our 6th grade classrooms. They started doing this a few years ago just to expose the 6th graders to the French and Spanish language and culture, and that helps them choose which language they'd like to study the following years. So we're going on Friday from 11:50 to 1:17. This date was just finalized a couple days ago, so I'm sorry the board doesn't have more notice, but if you would like to go or think you're available, just if you can let me know at your earliest convenience, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
So I did the visitation with Richard at Willow Ave, and it was really a fun day. It was the first Friday celebration. They did the Principals Awards, and I don't want to misquote it, but for those of us who remember safety patrols, they kind of had like a kindness patrol. So the 4th graders got up and they did this presentation on kindness, and I was so impressed with their public speaking, with the story, you know, that they told to kind of illustrate to the younger kids what this was all about, and they wore their green shirts very proudly, and yeah, so it was really cool. I couldn't believe they were 4th graders. I was like, wow, these kids are great at the public speaking part. And then we got a tour of the building, got to pop into a couple classes just to say hi to teachers and to students, and it was a really, really nice event. It was great just to see the kids in the hallway and how they're so disciplined. And Richard, do you mind if I share what the kids said? Well, now it's a little late. I kind of let the cat out of the bag. But, like, they're also so disciplined. So Richard came with a Cornwall hat on, but one of the young men was like, hey, no hats in the building. And I was like, oh, my goodness. Like, I just thought it was so impressive that, like, they take that seriously, you know? Mm-hmm. And so it was, it was really impressive. So it was a really nice experience. And I'm really glad, Carl, you set it up the way we're doing it now. So thank you for that vision of how we can interact differently.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. I'm having a great time. Every principal we've spoken with, the students, we're just having a good time with this. So that's what I wanted to do.
Okay, Brendan, communications.
Yep. So we met a couple weeks ago now, and we mostly talked about how we're going to be supporting the capital project. If you remember the last time we did it, it was kind of in stages, where the first stage we're like intaking information, and then once the board approves the project, then we go out with that information. So our target is to have a public forum in December. That's a date is always difficult to find, but we'll find it. To support that, we have a survey that our target was to have out by mid-November, and you look down at the clock and it's early November. So we'll get that going internally this week. In having had the facilities meeting last week, I think it was very helpful, because I think we have a sense of what our choices are going to be, that we're going to have to ask the community which they would prefer. So we'll, I'm sure in concert with the district, we'll be pushing that out to all the different channels, and in order to entice attendance, either in person or virtual, at the forum, we'll ask for not only ask questions, but solicit questions in the survey, which we will then answer at the forum. So that's the capital project side of it. We also discussed, there was earlier this year, and then it's kind of been a general question that's been bandied about the last couple of years. How is the board? What better ways can the board interact with the public and more be visible in public and make ourselves accessible? We talked about some different ideas. I think the one that rose to the top was having a recurring, let's just call them office hours, where before a meeting, we could make, and this could be not only open to the communication committee, but anybody on the board to make themselves available, in this space, perhaps for an hour before a meeting, and we would publicize it, and anyone who wants to come and ask a question can come and ask a question. It's not part of an official meeting, If they just want to talk, they can talk. If they want to interact, then we would be open to interact. So I think that made sense to us in that it feels it's structured, it's managed. It's not really asking any of us to, give up time on a Saturday or something that's just going to be very difficult schedule-wise. And it would also give the community like a natural cadence to become familiar with. We can present to the board what we feel like that could look like, and then I think it would make sense to open it up for discussion as a board, so since it would involve the full board. But just floating it out as preliminary idea, and if there seems to be interest, with just judging by nods, it seems like there's at least interest in exploring it, then we can put something together and put it on an agenda either later this month would be even fine.
Ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Is it, would you envision, and I don't know if it's allowed, the whole board being here for those office hours? Or we would rotate whoever's there?
So we'd have to get
Okay.
up to 4.
Right.
Right.
And then I would just, maybe for consideration, if you make it the hour before, but make it virtual too, so the
Yep.
4 people that are here are visible together, but people that might have a difficult time getting here could
Yeah.
pop in virtually. I mean, they would have to show their face and everything else, but something to consider for the
And
committee.
I think to the point of 4, we'd set the dates. We talked about maybe once every 2 months, once every 3 months. Yeah, you were big on quarterly, which I think it makes sense for not demanding too much of the public too. To expect them to always be knocking on the door. But we would have a schedule for the year, so everybody can sign up for their days. So it would be equitable in that way. It's not like anybody can just snag all of the slots. But yeah, it seems like there's some at least preliminary interest. So I'll put something together along with the survey. Maybe we can pass it back and forth and feel like if we're good about it, then we'll maybe throw it on the agenda for discussion. Cool.
Sorry, I just wanted to add, I think something important about that too is it's for people to be able to talk to us, but also some people that might feel uncomfortable speaking in front of people, right? Like if they just have a question.
I think we determined, although now I'm questioning, it would not be on YouTube, right? It's just
Right.
a conversation for that, to that point.
Yeah,
because
'cause some
people
people
might feel
might-
like a little self-conscious. Yeah.
That's why I think maybe virtual, maybe not every time, because I think the idea is to, if people are feeling a little sheepish or uncomfortable about bringing something up in public, they can come ask a question if they'd like.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it on YouTube. I just
Yeah.
meant as a way to connect.
Perfect.
Yeah. Any other committee reports? I would like to give, it's not an official committee, but I would like to give an update on the superintendent search. There will be some more information coming out about that with some more details about where we're at. But as a quick update, our search committee district-wise has completed a majority of their forums, both public forums as well as those with faculty, staff, and other units within the school. I think there's 1 or 2 more that they're completing. But what I also would like to mention is that we have a survey that's available. It is on the CCSD website. It's the landing page, I believe the last time I looked. It's in the bottom corner. That survey is available until November 30th. So it is open to everybody in the community, and we just really encourage you to take the time to fill it out, because it does help guide what is most important to the community and what folks are looking for in a leader overall. So please take a moment and let your voice be heard, because it does matter. We're going to update the website within the next week and just try to keep that as our flow of communication so people can check there for any updates or progress that we're sharing will be done through that mechanism. So thank you. Alrighty, moving on to our consent agenda. We have items 2 through 4. Would anyone like to pull anything from the agenda? Christian? All right. The purpose of the consent agenda, use of the consent agenda permits the Board of Education to make more effective use of its time by adopting a single motion to cover those relatively routine matters which are included. Any member of the board who wishes to discuss individually a particular piece of business on the consent agenda may so indicate, and that item will be considered and voted on separately, thus preserving the right of all board members to be heard on any issue. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following consent agenda as submitted by the Superintendent of Schools, items 2 through 4. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Brendan, thank you. A second?
Second.
Richard, you guys are usually fighting to give a second. Richard, the second, thank you. All in favor of approving the consent agenda?
Aye.
Opposed? Anyone? Abstentions? Okay, thank you. The motion passes.
Can I just add something real quick?
Sure.
The donation items were from two of our PTOs, and I just quickly recognize all the work that goes into raising all of that money. It really does impact the student experience in a positive way. So thank you to everybody who did that.
Yeah, it was a significant amount, and it's really the hard work of a lot of people. Any other public comments? Any final public comments? Okay, I'm going to ask someone to jot down the time, because I think this might be a record of all time. Yeah, so, and we didn't rush. So I am going to ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Carl, thank you. May I have a second?
Second. We're gonna
Brendan.
lose that record time.
I know. Brendan, thank you. All in favor of adjourning
Aye.
the meeting? All right. The motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.